Hello and welcome to our expert group. I'm super excited that you guys are watching this video, and I hope that it is informative and you learn a lot from it. In this expert group, we are going to be talking about the rise of city-states, but more specifically, the wealth that the city-states gained in the Renaissance. Now, before we talk about a city-state and how it gained wealth, we have to have a good understanding of what a city-state is. And basically, it is a city that runs entirely by itself under its own government. So you can see in this map that many of these cities are to themselves. They're all different colors and they all represent different places. These places ran their cities with their own government. There was no big united kingdom. In Italy, there's no overall government for the Italians. Every little state that you see right here runs completely on its own and by itself. There was no ruler during this time period that actually united Italy. As a matter of fact, the Roman Catholic Church did everything to stop one rising power in Italy. The church felt that if there was one ruler, one king to rule over all the states of Italy, that they would lose power, and the Pope and the church would no longer have the power and be able to influence Italy like they currently were. The most important reason that Italy stayed separate as city-states was not because of the church or the fear of a dictator ruling. It was because the city-states made more money independently. And as a matter of fact, all of the people that ran the individual city-states made sure that the city-states stayed independent so that they could borrow money from another city-state later. So, the ruler of Florence or the duke or noble or whatever that governed Florence made sure that Venice would be a place they could one day borrow money from, and they kept Venice and Florence separate. The main reason or way that the city-states gained wealth in the Renaissance was through trade. Now, I hope that you noticed in the map that I showed you earlier that Italy is surrounded by water, which makes it really good for trade because it's easy to get to in the water. Now, the way that the Italians were able to trade was they would go to one place, buy goods, come home, and sell those same goods for a very high price. So, for example, they would go to China, which had silk, and buy the silk, come home, and sell it for a very, very high price. So maybe in China, they traded it or they bought it for $1, but when they came home to Italy, they sold it for $3. They also had artisans who would take raw materials and make them into something else to trade. Let's take wool, for example. This was a good that they bought maybe from the Spanish or the French or the Dutch, and they would go to those places and they would buy the wool, come home, and maybe sell it to somebody that was a Turk or an Arab, and they would jack up the price so that the Italians would make a profit from it, and that is how they became wealthy. Other things that they traded and sold were glass and wine, and through this, the Italians were able to gain wealth through this business. Geography was not the only way that the Italians gained success and wealth. There were several events that led to trade becoming important in city-states. The first event were the Crusades, which you might remember reading about before spring break. Second, The growth of the Mongol Empire united almost all of Asia and created a huge trade network. To read more about Italy's city-states growth and becoming wealthy, go to page 611 in your books. I hope that you all enjoyed watching this video before you work on your foldables. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Miss April. She would be glad to help you. Remember that you need to become experts on this topic so that you can educate your home groups about city-states wealth, because they will be talking to you about something else. Thanks for watching.